Today we're looking at My Math Lesson 6.14. Our objective today, I will be able to divide decimals by powers of 10. We've actually done a lesson very similar to this a few days ago, where we multiplied decimals by powers of 10. And if you can recall, in that lesson, we took the existing decimal point and we moved it to the right a certain number of times. Today's lesson is really just the opposite of that. Since we're dividing by powers of 10, we're taking the existing decimal point and we're moving it to the left a certain number of times. The notes for this lesson are optional. They're short, but again, it's very similar to what we've done in the past. So if you'd like to, get your notebook out, and here we go. Lesson 6.14, dividing decimals by powers of 10. Our big idea, to divide a decimal by a power of 10, and remember that powers of 10 include 10, 100, 1,000, 10 to the second power, 10 to the third power, etc. We move the decimal point to the left a certain number of times. Let's look at an example so we can see how to determine the number of times to move our decimal point. Again, it's the same thing as when we multiply by powers of 10. You just count up the zeros in the power of 10, or look at the exponent that tells you how many the number of times to move your decimal point. So, for our first example, and our only example, we have 18 and 43 hundredths divided by 100. Notice we are dividing by 100. So I'm counting up my zeros in the power of 10. There are 2 zeros. So we move the decimal point 2 times, but we're moving it to the left since we are dividing. So let's take our number. Our existing decimal point was between the 8 and the 4. We're moving it twice to the left. Once puts it between the 1 and the 8. Twice puts it right in front of that 1. So 18 and 43 hundredths divided by 100 gives us 0.1843. And I like to put a 0 before the decimal point to show there are no holes. All right, now let's get into our My Math books. We are on page 461. You can divide decimals by powers of 10, such as 10, 100, and 1,000. Powers of 10 can be written with exponents. We just saw that. Laura needs to make 10 payments to pay for her new motorized scooter. How much will each payment be if the scooter costs $219.50? So what are the facts that I know? I'm trying to understand my problem. She needs to make 10 payments for a new item. We also know that the scooter costs $219.50. For this problem, there is a fact in the question, and sometimes that happens, so just be careful. What do I have to find out? How much will each payment be? Okay, so my question is, how much will each payment be? So one way to do this is to do the long division. And as you can see, long division is right here. When we get our quotient, the digits in our quotient are very similar to the digits in our dividend, except for we cut off a 0. What has changed? The place value. The position of the decimal point has moved. Because we're dividing by a power of 10, that's going to happen. Another way, the faster way, the more efficient way, is to move the decimal point. Dividing a decimal by 10 moves the decimal point one place to the left. So in our original problem, we had $219.50. We need to move that decimal point to the left once because we're dividing by 10 and 10 has 1 0. So take that decimal point, hike it over 1 time. That's its new position, its new home. So we have 21 decimal point 950. Now this question asked about money, and when we have money, we typically write it to the hundredths place, tenths, hundredths. This 0 can fall off. It It doesn't really have any value because it's not in between other digits that are not 0. So we would write our answer with money, with a dollar sign. Each payment will be $21.95. You can use multiplication to check your answer. To divide a decimal by a power of 10, move the decimal point to the left, the same number of zeros as in the power of 10, and this is also the same number as the exponent that's attached to your 10. Let's look at one more example for today. In the past 10 to the second years, scientists measured the movement of the continents to be 190 and 5/10 centimeters. If the continents moved the same amount each year, how much did the continents move in 1 year? Well, this is a pretty cool fact, just scientifically. 190 and 5/10 centimeters is pretty cool that the continents are moving that much. But 10 to the second years, how many years is it taking for the continents to move that much? So in my problem, I need to look at 10 to the second and understand what that means. No, it's not 20. You should know by now that you don't just multiply the base and the exponent to simplify that expression. You have to take 10 and multiply by itself, in this case, twice. So 10 to the second power is the same as 10 times 10, which equals 100. So in the past 100 years, scientists measured the movement of the continents to be 190 and 5/10 centimeters. So if we cut that up, if we make it the same amount each year, how much is it in 1 year? So one way is to do that long division. No thank you, I don't feel like dividing 190.5 divided by 100 using long division. Okay, I love long division, so I probably wouldn't mind that. But there is a faster way to do this. Since we are dividing by a power of 10, we're dividing by 100, we can take our existing number and move the decimal point a certain number of times to the left because we're dividing. So how many times do we move it? If you look at your power of 10, it tells you we're moving the decimal point twice to the left. And you could also look at 100 and count the zeros. Either way, let's shift this decimal point twice to the left for division. Once, twice, and there we have it. 1.905. Don't forget that 5. So, 190 and 5/10 divided by 10 to the second power, or 100, equals 1 and 905 thousandths. The continents moved 1 and 905 thousandths centimeters in 1 year. Okay, that doesn't sound like too much, right? 1.905 centimeters is about 2 centimeters. 2 centimeters is about 2 of your pinkies next to each other. So in the big idea, in 1 year, it's really not moving that much. But it's still pretty cool to know. All right, at this point, I'd like for you to try the guided practice, independent practice, and the problem solving. If you have questions, please raise your hand and I'll be happy to help you and check your work. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.